Alright guys, that's Scrappy again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The opening weekend of the CDL is over and drama as always from start to finish. OpTic versus Cloud9, huge drama hitting the timeline, especially from the Cloud9 side. Again talking about the server problems the CDL currently has and the idiotic decisions they feel like the referees are making when it comes down to the situation. Are they using this as an excuse for looking terrible right now? Do they make a very fair point? And what about Los Angeles Thieves versus Atlanta FaZe? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. We will begin here with the Carolina Royal Ravens playing the Los Angeles Guerrillas, mate. I mean, it is probably the worst lineup of team names you're going to find in the league. But in terms of performances, this was very impressive in the Ravens. Now, when this team was formed, I liked it on paper. And honestly, looking at many of the teams in the league this year, usually I've said this over the last few years, you look up and down the league and you say, well, that kind of makes sense, that kind of makes sense. But genuinely looking at the teams, how they've looked so far, this is one of the best years we have had, I would say, in terms of team structures and composition. The Ravens team makes sense. You've got a fast-paced set of guys, Gwinn, Vivid for sure, paired with, you know, a hungry main AR in Slasher, who's typically been good on track games and is looking to, you know, prove himself, right, after what's happened over the last couple of years. And then you got TJ, who had a good year last year and is known for having excellent search and destroy on a team that should be excellent in that mode. So you put all the pieces together, and I liked the Ravens team when it was announced, but then given the way that the game plays, I got a bit concerned about, you know, Slasher's performance on this particular title, how Vivid was going to get along with the team, knowing that historically he does get dropped from a few teams, and then seeing they got 5-0 slammed the other day by Hook's roster in scrims, I was concerned the Ravens might not be as good, and also they were like 10th in the coaches' power rankings. But of course, that barely includes search and destroy, and it seemingly didn't include them absolutely tucking Guerrilla's mate during the first series here. I mean, Slasher, game one of the Vault, is 38-23. As you guys know, I think Slasher is a better player than people give him credit for, but even, you know, Black Ops 6, as I say, typically good at trade games, but I did wonder whether the movement on this game would cause him problems. Seemingly not in Hardpoint so far. He has been absolutely on it. And on the other team today, for the Gentlemates guys, it was genuinely only the Bulldog shooting back. Like, this was pretty bad. Lynz's numbers weren't great. His damage wasn't great, but it was... I mean, Kismet had like 90-odd kills, 90-odd deaths. Lynz ended with like 80 kills, 87 deaths. The rest of the guys were kind of nowhere to be found. And Ravens showing their prowess in search and destroy. Falcons was their opening game. That was like, you know what, they played all right, but it's tough to read into that too much. This was a genuinely impressive victory today, and yeah, they lost the control, but again, they slammed them game 4 on the Skyline. Slasher was, you know, again, like a 1.2, 1.3 here, but this was Gwynn's takeover map. He was basically double positive. And it was rough for the Gentlemates guys. That team is constructed like a previous World Championship winning roster. The problem is I don't know if they have the talent that they think they do when compared to some of the other teams that have actually been built this season. As Skyz says, GG's Ravens, apologies to the fans. I think they can get better over time, but the way they've lost these first couple of series against Rocker and now against Ravens, you know, for them to start out 0-2, given the promise they had, that is concerning, and I think there will be players out there licking their lips at this prospect, because we know that these guys, I mean, like Priestahh, Skyz, and Kismet are all world champions, right? There will be players licking their lips to try and get into this roster somewhere. Not in Lynz's spot. Lynz ain't going anywhere. He's a French kid on a French org. Like, that's not going to be happening. But I do worry for Priestahh, right? Because since winning champs in 2023 and getting dropped, of course, for Sib, since then, now, yes, of course, Boston were terrible, but look at the numbers. He's 6-29 since then. Like, it is ugly. And he didn't have a good series again today. So, as I said, Kismet goes, you know, 83 and or 93 and 93 for a 1 KD with decent damage. Lynz wasn't far behind, but they just got slammed. I mean, TJ and Vivid were basically even, pretty much exactly what you want. And then Gwinn being your takeover player, and Slasher right there, pretty much with him. And Slasher had the most damage in the lobby and the joint most kills. So, you know, people tend to think Slasher is a bit of a slower AR. Not on this game, not right now. And that seems to be the adaptation that Slasher needed to make them look this good. So, Ravens start 2-0 on the season. Again, early days. I want to see how they fare against, you know, a Toronto or something like that. I think that'd be an interesting series right now. But it's looking good for them early on. Then we saw Miami versus the Vancouver Surge as they are now. And this was a banger series. No surprises here. I like the way that both of these teams have been constructed again. I think the Surge roster is promising. I do worry about them sometimes. And then, you know, Miami, it's classic Miami, right? The issue for them is that they had one player today that kind of let the side down. And when we got to the game 4, Lucky had a stinker in the game 4 here. They were even kind of close to winning this, but Lucky was 10 in 30 on the 4th map, and then his play round 11 in the Search and Destroy to me was also pretty terrible. I mean, 0-4 made a big clutch, right? But still, for this to happen the way that it did, Lucky found himself basically super out of position here towards the end of the round, and speaking of super, that might be the man to come in to replace him, right? If you guys aren't aware, just the other day, Heretics signed super officially to their roster. He's been the other in addition to Rencor. Very promising Spanish player in challenges over the last couple of years. And this was the play. I mean, Rencor got caught out. ReeaL got caught out. And Lucky was just like, you know, I know why he did what he did, but he was just nowhere near the scene of the crime. And at the end of the day, that was a Surge Game 5 Round 11 win. So, yeah, congrats to Surge for getting the dub here. Heretics moved now to 1-1. But I think both of these teams have kind of impressed me. Lucky, though, this is the question, really. ReeaL and Rencor have had great moments so far. ReeaL was cooking so bad this series, as was Rencor at times. They just needed something out of Lucky, and Lucky is the man in the role that Super would replace. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think once Super gets his visa, he's going to get out there to the States, and they're going to stick him straight in for Lucky. I think it's the right decision, and genuinely, I think Miami will be a team that causes a lot of upsets this year. I think their potential is increased with the changes they've made. They might just need one more change to get to the next level. But let's talk about the drama, baby, because it wouldn't be a Call of Duty League weekends, certainly not an opening weekend without it. And this comes down to the ping situation for the Cloud9 boys. So Attach tweeted this out, you know, here we go again. Now, we saw him talk about this, of course, yesterday, and it's back on the menu again today. The CleanX is making us play on a combined 140 ping for this match, or we're going to have to forfeit it. We're deciding to play through it anyway. There's a server where the pings are even, but we're not allowed to play on it, according to the CDL. Attach then went on to say the following, here we go. Which server do you consider to be the most fair? So I'm guessing they're talking about the Denver server, or maybe another server in a similar location, which for some reason the CDL aren't going to use. So, you know, we can see here the pings of the players to this particular server seems fairer on server A to me. Server B, this is what you get if they're playing on, I'm not exactly sure what server they're playing on. People have talked about me a Chicago server that the LA boys, where Cloud9 are based, are playing the Texas guys from. And whatever server they were playing on against OpTic, the OpTic boys had 20 ping each for 80 ping total. The Cloud9 boys had 55 ping each for 220 ping total. That's the 140 ping difference that he's talking about. So, you know, this is year 6 of the CDL guys. Am I getting that right? Yeah, I think that I am. And we are still in a position where servers are not only becoming a product, but they're actually getting worse. Lamar says we're going to talk about it after the games today. And the series went as you'd expect. Now, of course, Cloud9 were probably somewhat checked out here, knowing the situation. For some reason, they're playing on a massive ping disadvantage. I think they knew they were going to lose. Of course, the debate to some degree is, do they just look pretty lost anyway? I mean, yeah, but can you give them a bit of leeway knowing that they're going through a lot of stuff, and are they going to play their best COD in those circumstances? Probably not either, but I mean, still, they do look pretty terrible, Cloud9, right now. I'm sure that part of that is ping related, part of it probably isn't, would be my guess as it stands, but they came into the series and just got dogged. I think they knew they were going to get dogged, and that's exactly what OpTic delivered to them. So, yeah, they won the Game 2 Search and Destroy, they won the Game 3 Control in the end as well. Shotzzy had a mega map here on the Vault Control. We saw Vault Control, by the way, again. I don't think we've seen a single Protocol Control so far, which is pretty funny, but, you know, this map's okay, so I guess we'll watch it be played. Shotzzy had a mega 34 in 20 performance here. Attach couldn't do anything in the 1 versus 2. And that was GG, all she wrote in the series. Red carpet for the Cloud9 boys. Attach, Kremp, Mack and Simp all doing terrible. To be honest, looking at this roster, even without the ping cheese, I'm not sure I'm convinced, especially by this team right now. But, yeah, Dashy, Pred, Shotzzy, all fine. Shotzzy had like a 2KD. So, yeah, there was that. Sim, of course, understandably, deeply frustrated about it, says these are unacceptable circumstances to go through as a player. Been working day in, day out as a team, and not to have a proper showing is extremely upsetting. Attach is like, look, what more can I say? GG's, we got slammed. But okay, here we go, the banger we were looking forward to of the day. The Los Angeles Thieves, the team that won the KSAN tournament. They started off the weekend very impressively. FaZe lost the other day to Toronto, but I knew this one would potentially be a different story. It certainly was after the first couple of maps. FaZe, a lot to prove today. Thieves have been looking very strong, I'm sure, behind the scenes. FaZe, we know they are still Atlanta FaZe, but there was a question. They came top 6 of the World Championship. They won the World Cup, but it was single elimination. Did FaZe make the right call to stick with their roster? Time will only tell, I suppose, on that one. But today, the Los Angeles Thieves, they delivered the goods, as Scrappy tends to always do against Drazah all time. 10-3, make that 11-3 after today. And I honestly thought this was going to be a complete bloodbath. I had never seen, I don't think I've ever seen, FaZe get handled the way they did the first map of this series, and really the first, few minutes of the control as well. I'd never seen anything like this. I mean, FaZe getting stomped in this manner is absolutely unprecedented in COD. They looked completely lost on the map. Thieves had everything going for them. Some of the best teamwork I've genuinely ever seen in COD was on display here from Thieves. And Game 4, FaZe bounced back with their own great teamwork as well. But this Game 1 was such a masterclass by the Los Angeles Thieves. And when it comes down to those situations where, it's a close hard point, it's all close quarters or whatever, they are able to get their spacing and their teamwork and their coordination so well compared to everybody else, it seems, in the game right now. And HyDra is just better than anyone as well. 80-point clubs. FaZe got map 1. I mean, FaZe have been 100-point clubs once in the last 5 years. And it's not been the start of the season they wanted. They're 0-2 now. But, I mean, this Game 1 was so unprecedented. I mean, have a look at these numbers here at the top of the score. But I can't even break down this map because, Thieves just won everything. They won every rotation. They won every break. FaZe looked lost. Simp, your MVP from a few months ago, 11-24. HyDra, the man that said that it should have been his MVP, 31-17. But honestly, the MVP of this series was Envoy. This guy has been looking outrageous. There was some controversy when Thieves formed their roster. Should they have brought CleanX? Should they have brought Envoy? So far, Envoy's looking like the right decision, and Ghosty was sitting there cheesing, thinking, wow, what have I done to deserve this type of a team? As to be fair, was Nachop, because no other team in the game, maybe OpTic at some point, I guess we'll see, but no other team, as far as I'm concerned right now, can do what Los Angeles Thieves did today, especially in this map 1 against FaZe. Absolutely absurd. It's why I said going into this season, I think Thieves are going to be the best team. I think they're going to win the World Championship. You can see why today. Can they maintain it? Of course, that's the question. It's early days. The main takeaway for me is we're going to be in for a banger of a season, right? Because I was honestly concerned when FaZe were getting slapped around so hard. There was some drama in the search with the replays, but eventually Thieves, they win it again. They go up 2-0 in the series after Drazah team kills aBeZy, which was particularly unfortunate in the round 11. But I was genuinely concerned 2 maps into the control that we might have a 1-team league. I was sitting there thinking, hang on a second, I thought this was meant to be a 3-team league. OpTic, yeah, they look good today, but of course they lost to Boston the other day. FaZe are about to start off 0-2. Are we really in a situation where Thieves are the best by a mile and no one's going to be able to beat them this season? I don't think so. And, we'll see how time goes on that. But I'm glad that FaZe made a comeback, at least just to show that the Thieves team is beatable. Because, there was some concern, I'm sure, flying around today that Thieves are looking so good that maybe everyone needed to prevent this team from actually happening. But they win the search and destroy. They then go up a dominant 2-0 in the control. Okay, a couple of these rounds were kind of close, but it was a quick 2-0, but fair play to FaZe. They showed some great resilience, I thought, this series. Part of it, I do believe, was Thieves just kind of thinking they'd won it already, and because the amount of trash talk that Scrap and HyDra, those guys were coming out with in the listeners, saying these guys are bums, I'm sure that 2-0 they thought it was absolutely guaranteed they win, but you never want to count FaZe out. They bring this back, they win it in 5. Scrappy then takes the headset off. They then go to a rewind hardpoint where Envoy was again absolutely on fire. But FaZe and especially Cellium, I think this is a big map here for Cell, just to at least show that I wouldn't say he's still got it, because it's Cellium, obviously he's still got it, but he can play aggressively and impactfully and help FaZe. That 3-piece there won them the game from Cellium. He goes like, 40 nearly in 28 he drops at the end of this one. Of course, the rest of the FaZe boys, well, actually, yeah, 38 and 29 he ends up here after everyone goes down. But FaZe win, that was map of the year so far, for sure. That Rewind Hardpoint, I never knew he was going to win. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Rewind's not the best map, but wow, that was a banger. And then the game 5 happens. Scrap's looking like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have talked all that trash, but we know that he's going to back himself in 5. Scrap started off very well this map indeed. He then made some other great plays as well as the map went down to get some crucial first bloods. And in the end, Thieves closes out 6-4 on the vault. They prevent the reverse sweep. And yeah, it was a 1-2-5 for Los Angeles. Thieves winning both searches. That's another impressive thing. We know what Thieves can do in the respawns. The fact that they beat FaZe in both searches today shows that they're not just a respawn dominant team, Thieves. They've got the full package. It's a scary sign for the league, but very much interested your thoughts in the comment section below because, my big takeaway from the weekend is we've got a serious year on our hands here, right? Like, Thieves and FaZe went blow for blow today. Thieves are the best team right now, and FaZe have started off the year 0-2, but that does not tell the full picture of what we're going to expect to see this season. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.